Good afternoon, everybody. Whoever joins us, please come and join us. We are going to be discussing a fascinating series of documentary films called Ha'ivrim, the Hebrews, created by my dear friend, but really one of the most admirable people working in the field of Hebrew culture today, Yair Qedar.
Good to be here. Hi.
Hi. And my name is Ruby Namdar, an Hebrew-American novelist. Yair, it's always a pleasure to be with you, but honestly, it's also, you see, they agree with you. It's also an honor because I've been an admirer of your work way before we met and became friends. And I want to say a few words about Yair's project, and then we're going to maybe have a little taste, a snippet of the series. Yair's project is a series of immaculately done documentary films about figures, some of them well known, some of them a little more mysterious and obscure, but mostly the big icons of Hebrew culture. And I could say, I think, with a level of confidence that the series Ha'ivrim, the Hebrews, in a way, put the Hebrew language on the map again and on the screen again, in a way that was never before. You took people who were 2D, that their work and their personality was glued to a page. So they had a two-dimensional existence for us. And you made them into a three-dimensional, moving, living characters that become culture heroes for us. And for this, I will always admire you. So I think we should maybe have a look at a snippet of your newest release, which is the one about the great heretic.
Thank you for the introduction. Happy to be here. We'll see the trailer of the latest film about Baruch Spinoza. It is film number 18 in the series of films. We'll have a glimpse of the older films later. And we initiated the film about 2 years ago, and we wanted to shoot in the Portuguese synagogue in Amsterdam. And then something happened, so let's have a look at the trailer.
Your request to visit our complex and create a film about the Epicureans in our synagogue and yeshiva is incompatible with our centuries-old halachic, historic, and ethical tradition, and an unacceptable assault on our identity and heritage. I therefore deny your request and declare your persona non grata in the Portuguese synagogue complex.
מה הרגשת כשקראת?
היה נראה שזה מין כזה שידור חוזר של סיפור ידוע מלפני 350 שנה.
שפינוזה עבר נידוי, אבל מה באישיות ובמשנה שלו עדיין מעוררים את העדים הללו?
In an extraordinary twist this week, the US-based academic with the world's expert on Spinoza has been told that not only that ban is still enforced and that he, the academic, is being added to it.
ביקשה ההפקה לצלם בבית הכנסת הפורטוגזי באמסטרדם, אלא שראש בית הכנסת מודיע שהפרופסור יצחק מלמד הוא פרסונה נון גרטה ואסור בכניסה לבית הכנסת.
Lamad's request was for an unacceptable assault on our identity and heritage, and he himself is now declared persona non grata.
אירוע מאוד מעניין שמלהיט עדיין את הרוחות ברחבי העולם, המאבק הפוליטי הכי חריף שקיים היום בישראל, וכמובן לא מדובר בכן ביבי לא ביבי אלא בכן שפינוזה לא שפינוזה.
So this is very exciting, very interesting. And I would like to ask you, why Spinoza? How did you get to focus on Spinoza?
The project The Hebrews began like 12 years ago, and we created films about the greatest Jewish Israeli writers and poets. And around film 15, took another challenge to create film about the great Jewish thinkers. The first is Spinoza, Marx, and now Freud is
Spinoza,
on the
Marx,
way.
Karl Marx.
Yeah,
And now,
Sigmund Freud.
yes.
Yeah.
So you moved from the realm of the Hebrew,
Yeah.
and then it was maybe your gateway to general Jewish culture and art and thinking.
Yes.
So for you, it's interesting to think of the Hebrew language as a gateway to discovering a larger Jewish identity that I think when you grow up in Israel is not always the two don't always go together, right?
And it was surprising to see that 350 years after the excommunication of Spinoza from the Portuguese synagogue and the Jewish community of Amsterdam, the excommunication is repeated. And Itzik Milamed, our friend, a hero of the film, professor from Johns Hopkins University, is banned forever from the Portuguese
So
synagogue.
he's still not allowed to put his foot
Actually,
in.
what happened later is that the Amsterdam municipality said, we're giving money to the synagogue, we don't encourage these values, and actually the rabbi had to resign.
Oh my God.
But we couldn't feel it during the film, and but it shows, how intensified is the emotion, how intensified the emotions towards the ideas of Spinoza still today among some Jewish Orthodox circles.
Yeah.
Another challenge of the film was, of course, how to create philosophy in a documentary film. How do we take this two-dimension or four-dimension ideas, and how do we create documentary filmmaking? How do we represent them visually? And we need to see the film in order to do what we did there, but it was a fascinating challenge. Filmmaking, philosophy, marrying.
Especially with Spinoza, because he is really a very abstract philosopher. He's not a storyteller. He's really makes the world into an equation almost. So to take this abstract equation and make it alive and a story is fascinating.
It was challenging, and we had a wonderful lead character, this Itzik Milamed, who writes a biography of Spinoza, and we went with him to Amsterdam and other places in the world and discovered new things. For example, in Columbia University, we discovered just the COVID. They had many boxes there, and they had time to open the boxes, and they found the death mask of Spinoza. For the first time, we can see how did
Spinoza's
he
death mask
look like, what are the features, real feature of him, because so little is left of him, so we could have...
Wow, and where is this death mask now?
Columbia University.
They own it, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. This is crazy. Do you believe this? I have a question for you. Can I go personal?
Yeah. Right?
Do you feel that you gotten closer to Spinoza or to some other of the people you explored? Do you have various relationships with them? Some of them you love more. Some of them do you maybe have a more complex relationship?
My first film was with Leah Goldberg, which is the most prominent Israeli poetess. And I spent 5 years with her. So it's like a relationship. It's like my marriage or something.
And she was your first love, yeah.
And it's complex relationship.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes you go with joy to work, sometimes you're reluctant, there are conflicts. It's interesting voyage. But the most interesting relationship I have is with the person that I'm making the film now.
Please tell us.
So 3 years ago, I began to make a film about Freud, and I had difficulties.
That's, of course, very surprising to have a complicated relationship with Sigmund Freud. You might be the first one, right?
Yes. And what...
Please tell us in detail.
So I had a concept, but it was not the right concept. So I was failing and failing and failing. And then one of the advisors said, why don't you use the couch? So I began psychoanalysis, and through psychoanalysis, I found the right concept for the film.
Unbelievable.
There's a few months, 4 months on the couch. It's really a helpful angle to have breakthroughs in films. And the relationship's still going on.
Yeah. Do you find yourself sometimes entering a new film with one approach towards your culture hero and leaving with a very different approach?
Each film is a new journey. So I begin from scratch.
And you allow it to
Hero.
remain a new journey time
Yes,
and
because
time
the people
again.
are so different. Sigmund Freud is different, Spinoza is different, Leah Goldberg, Bialik, the national poet. The biggest film also so far was Amos Oz.
Yes.
Completely different personality. The film is called The Fourth Window. It came
Yes.
out, I think, 2 years ago. Also shown here in... Sweden.
We actually were together in the first screening of the beginning snippet. Would you tell us a few words about the film, about Amos Oz and the big impact it had?
You're taking part of the film.
Yes, it was wonderful. Oh, and I took a minor part.
On the day that Amos Oz died, I got a phone call from the Israeli television, and they suggest I would make a film about him, and I began a voyage. It was very interesting to start a film about him, and you know his 5 stages of mourning.
Yeah.
So his family, his image, the Israeli culture, we went through these stages, and we began with a certain Amos Oz, and it changed along the way, especially that about 2 years after his death, his daughter published a very critical book about his father, which I incorporated in this documentary. So it was fascinating to see the first Amos Oz and the result, the Amos Oz and the end result in the film. And I'm all the time trying to be responsible to show some truthness, to show the sensitivities, to show the complexities, which are many, but still at the same time admire the talent and the literary force.
Yeah.
Talent, yeah.
That's an interesting duality, to see the complexity of the personality and still. I have to say that part of what makes this series so compelling is that you remain creative, and as you said, every episode is a new journey. You don't feel that you walked into the same pattern. There's not a shablona, there's not like one look. And part of this is the fact that you started by directing every episode, every film, and at a certain point you released a little bit and started bringing directors to direct various, while you still remain very much a part of the production. How was this? Was it hard? Tell us about this process.
We'll do it at the same time. Can we have a look at the website, please? We just see the poster of the film. So this is the website of the series. We have Amos Oz, A.B. Yoshua, Abraham Sutzkever, the Yiddish poet, Avot Yeshurun, Yonah Volach, poets, Spinoza, Rabbi David Buzaglo, Moroccan Jewish poet, Leah Goldberg and Bialik, Rachel, Zelda, the poets, the writer, Brenner, Yemenite Jewish, Shabazi, Jabotinsky, Fogel, Jacqueline Karnov, the first feminist Mizrahi essayist in Palestine in the 30s, Karl Marx, and Miriam Elan Stekel is, this is like people who gave money, but above that, Miriam Elan Stekel who wrote children.
The most wonderful children's
most
that we grew
wonderful.
up reading.
So I think about a little bit as like a talent farm.
Yeah.
So I'm like the producer, and I invite directors, animators, sound designers, cinematographers, writers to join me for a journey of 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And it's an artistic playground, and also homage, and also a way to contemporize some of the most talented writers of the past.
Yeah.
This is our national treasures. Not tangible, intangible. What is the word?
Untouchables?
No, non-tangible.
Untangibles.
Intangible national treasures.
Yes.
Yes. So it's a privilege to have this as a playground and to work with so many talented people to create these movies.
I love this idea that you really created the great writers of Hebrew and now Jewish culture as national assets. And I feel that this is a model that could become a global national model, because what you have done with Hebrew culture, reviving it and recreating it through the screen, I feel that it's something that many countries that have a proud literary tradition but it still remains in the book. Do you know of other places in the world where this model is taken?
Not actually, not for literature, but there is a very big American project, American Masters.
Yes.
It's 250 films there, but so it's films about the most prominent artists in many films, in many fields. But this is one of a kind project. But I wish it would have been in other countries. I imagine similar projects in Sweden, in Germany, in France would be amazing. You invite 10 directors to create documentary films about 10 writers. You say, go, do your best, play, come back in 3 years. Could be very interesting
Would be
films
wonderful.
coming out of it.
And we know that Sweden has plenty of good directors and plenty of good writers, right? This is one thing you don't lack.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yair, it's always a pleasure and again an honor. When is the release of the Sigmund Freud? Is there anything in?
Late as possible. Something 25. And but Amos Oz and A.B. Yoshua films are shown on Saturday here at a cinema nearby.
Yes.
So welcome to see it, to join us for the screening of these new films, the two homages to the great writers Amos Oz and A.B. Yoshua.
And we will both be there in case you want to ask more questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.